endured. Zhang Yi spoke up. Cao replied with bitter resentment, Yazir killed many of us. Several Hamas leaders perished in the attack. We must avenge this. I understand, but please calm down first. Zhang Yi responded. I understand your feelings, but anger is useless. It only clouds judgment and leads to reckless actions. How about this? I'm organizing a symposium. Send your people over, and we'll discuss how to deal with Yisrael together. Is that okay? No problem, absolutely no problem. I hear we're going after Yisrael. Sar nodded vigorously, hastily agreeing. This time, besides Hamas, Zhang Yi planned to summon all members of the resistance Fox. We need to discuss countermeasures. As Yisrael was their common enemy, he believed everyone would be keenly interested. Zhang Yi had invitations sent out. Upon receiving the news, Elon immediately prepared to send representatives. Yisrael had gone too far this time. He had long since grown weary of watching the other factions. Libya, Syria, and Iraq also expressed their agreement and would send representatives to attend. The symposium was thus finalized. 2 days later, representatives from all parties arrived at the Kingdom of Yemen, where Zhang Yi arranged for special vehicles to greet them. Due to the urgency of the situation, the top leaders of each faction were unable to spare the time on short notice. Thus, they did not attend in person. However, those who did attend were influential figures with significant decision-making authority, making discussions with them equally meaningful. Upon entering the capital city of Yemen, the representatives from various factions were all stunned by the changes within Yemen's borders. General Korkos, dispatched by the Young Finns faction, remarked in disbelief, when I last visited, this place wasn't nearly as prosperous. The changes are truly staggering. Indeed. The Syrian defense minister, his face filled with astonishment, declared, under your leadership, the Kingdom of Yemen is destined to reach its zenith. These words. Half of it was genuine astonishment, a heartfelt sentiment. But it was also meant to flatter Zhang Yi. After all, the Kingdom of Yemen was developing so rapidly they too wanted to curry favor and get a piece of the pie. The leader of Hamas, Sana, wore a grim expression. He remained silent throughout the entire process, his entire being still immersed in hatred toward Yisrael. They arrived at the main city. Zhang Yi had his men lead them to the conference room, where the meeting formally commenced. Zhang Yi had no intention of beating around the bush. Instead, he got straight to the point. Everyone was eager to know why Zhang Yi had summoned them. One by one, they looked at Zhang Yi with curiosity, listening intently. Your Majesty, please tell us what should we do? Zhang Yi cleared his throat. Ahem. Step 1, let the public discourse continue to ferment. Chapter 129, Street Fighting Tactics. Let the public opinion continue to ferment? Zhang Yi looked at the group and nodded. Yes. Yisrael has already provoked widespread outrage. Even if they can control public opinion, they won't be able to contain it this time. Essentially, Yisrael is now pitting itself against the entire world. What do you think their ultimate fate will be? This world has been controlled by Squid for far too long. They've exploited every online news outlet and media resource. They've portrayed themselves as victims throughout history. They once garnered sympathy from people worldwide. People believed the Squid were a pitiful race. But this time, the truth has been exposed, and people have seen the true face of the Yisraeli people. They now recognize them as a group of demons who manipulate public perception through the internet and news, subtly shaping people's thoughts to exploit sympathy and profit from others' goodwill. Especially this massacre. Countless innocent civilians perished in the flames. They cannot be absolved. Imagine the situation. If Yisrael becomes the enemy of all, anyone who steps in to teach him a lesson in the future won't even need a legitimate reason. They would gain the support of the entire world. Even the Beacon Nation, which shares the same bed with Yisrael. Only their governments would back him. In the hearts of ordinary people, there is genuine opposition to Yisrael's atrocities. Ultimately, those with humanity still constitute the majority in this world. Its reputation is ruined. The carefully cultivated image Yisrael had spent years building crumbled overnight. What followed was relentless persecution against them. And no one would bat an eye. And this was merely Zhang Yi's first move. After hearing this, everyone felt Zhang Yi's reasoning was sound. But were we to stand idly by, watching them continue slaughtering the people of Gaza? Others could afford to wait. But Sar couldn't afford to wait. We cannot stand by and watch Yisrael continue the slaughter. Who knows when their next bombing raid will come? Of course not. Zhang Yi shook his head. Rest assured, I will help you deal with Yisrael. I just don't want to get involved personally for now, but I'll provide you with equipment. Hearing the word equipment, Sar's eyes lit up. So many lives lost in this bombing, so many homes destroyed, they'd long since stopped fearing anything. Give them a chance. They'd even go down fighting Yisrael. He dared to fight. But they lacked the equipment. Yisrael has the United States backing him. They can easily obtain the most advanced equipment in the world. But Kasha is penniless, with nothing to her name. Worth mentioning, Zhang Yi's temporary use of their single-soldier exoskeleton armor was a rental. After that incident, they returned it. What remained in their possession were several Z-type portable rocket launchers. They had purchased these at a premium from Zhang Yi. But the ammunition was nearly depleted. Only a pile of launch tubes remained. Resisting the fierce enemy with these meager resources proved quite difficult. As for the makeshift rocket launchers Zhang Yi taught them to build using fertilizer, sugar, and steel pipes, those wouldn't work either. Their accuracy was simply too poor. On the main battlefield, their effectiveness was practically zero. And there was one thing that worried Sal greatly. The enemy has fighter jets. They held air superiority and could bomb us. I feared that if the disparity in weaponry was too great, we wouldn't achieve much. Sar sighed, his face clouded with worry. In modern warfare, air superiority is crucial. Facing direct aerial bombardment without matching combat capabilities and equipment, you simply cannot compete. Yes, Gashan's forces are too weak. Even with weapons, they likely couldn't stand up to Yisili. Unless Gaza also had fighter jets. That's unrealistic, isn't it? Representatives from Syria, Iraq, and Libya were buzzing with discussion. The Kingdom of Yemen couldn't possibly provide Jasha with fighter jet support. Even if they did. Gasha is such a small place the fighters wouldn't have much room to maneuver. And pilots are another issue. You can't just pick anyone off the street to fly a fighter jet, can you? You must understand that nations invest immense resources and effort. It's no small feat. Gasha simply couldn't produce one in such a short time. At a complete loss. Jiang Yi chuckled. Who said we had to engage them head-on? Oh, so you mean? Everyone furrowed their brows. They sensed profound meaning in Jiang Yi's words. Suddenly, it dawned on them. Had they overlooked something? Jiang Yi pressed his hand to his forehead at a loss for words. The Hamas forces were numerous. But they hadn't received professional training. They certainly couldn't compare to the professional soldiers of Yisili. Even with a slight edge in equipment, they'd likely get thoroughly beaten. How did they win the last raid? Jiang Yi's supplies were incredibly powerful. But Jiang Yi couldn't possibly supply them with such powerful gear every single time. That's why Jiang Yi rejected the idea of a frontal assault from the very beginning. We never expected Gaza to crush Yisili on the main battlefield. If we can't win on the open battlefield, we can fight them in the streets. Street fighting? The representatives from all factions froze in surprise. Then they slapped their thighs. Right. Why hadn't they thought of that? So-called street fighting. It is a rather unique form of combat. It offers significant natural advantages to the defending side. First, the terrain. Gaza's complex topography features densely packed buildings and a labyrinth of streets and alleys. For Hamas fighters who know Gaza City intimately, urban warfare allows them to exploit doors, windows, rooftops, basements, and other locations for concealment, ambushes, and surprise attacks, catching the enemy off guard. Historically, several classic battles have been fought in urban environments. For example, the Battle of Stalingrad during World War II. Soviet soldiers hid within the ruins, abandoned workshops, and residential buildings, causing immense difficulties for the German soldiers at the time. Moreover, the narrow streets severely restricted the deployment and maneuverability of the attacking forces' heavy weapons and vehicles. Heavy tanks and large armored weapons were essentially rendered half-useless. The multi-level structure of urban buildings allowed for the deployment of troops and weapons, creating a three-dimensional defense system. Observation posts and snipers were positioned on upper floors, infantry firepoints were set up on middle floors, and obstacles and traps were placed on lower floors. With these tactical arrangements in place, Jiang Yi could guarantee that Yisili's forces would be decimated one by one. This point, Jiang Yi would later send personnel to provide basic training for Hamas fighters. He would instruct them on combat tactics and proper deployment. To demonstrate their strength to the Kingdom of Yemen, the initial plan is to completely annihilate Hamas. But Hamas is hiding in Gaza, and without a specific list, they can't conduct a precise purge. The simplest and most brutal approach, naturally, is to carry out a bloodbath in Gaza. In other words, Yisrael's true objective can be understood as fully seizing Gaza and incorporating it into Yisrael's territory. As for casualties? Even if every single person in Gaza were to die, they wouldn't care. They had reached a point of utter depravity. Chapter 130, this set's a bit pricey. Faced with this, Jiang Yi naturally couldn't stand by and watch them run amok. Capture Gasha. What comes next? It was to continue targeting the Kingdom of Yemen with further operations. Jiang Yi would never allow himself to be caught off guard. Gulp. Delegates from all factions were utterly stunned by Jiang Yi's explanation. Who would have thought that despite inferior equipment and military capabilities, such tactics could still be employed? Your Majesty, we are ready to follow your commands. Sar was utterly convinced. Perhaps Jiang Yi could truly lead Hamas to create a miracle and turn defeat into victory. Jiang Yi gestured for him to calm down. Then he added, first, take a look at the equipment I've sponsored for you this time. It's not as lavish as last time. After all, that time we even deployed individual exoskeleton armor. But what we're providing this time is no less impressive. Sar immediately leaned in. In Jiang Yi's hand was a list. Representatives from other factions craned their necks to get a closer look, afraid they might miss something. Supply list. Kevlar helmets, ceramic composite body armor, M4 carbines, AK-47 rifles, ACOG optical sights, tactical radios, high-explosive grenades, anti-tank mines. After reading it, Sar's eyes widened, his pupils sharply contracting. This much? This is way too much. For an organization whose only means of resistance were makeshift rocket launchers fashioned from fertilizer, sugar, and steel pipes. This gear was beyond their wildest dreams. All high-quality gear. Kevlar helmets, capable of withstanding 9mm pistol rounds at close range, as well as shrapnel from explosions like artillery shells and grenades with fragment protection speeds reaching 630 meters per second. Ceramic composite body armor effectively deflects rifle rounds like standard 7.62mm bullets at certain distances. Higher grade vests offer a terrifying 90% protection rate against standard 5.56mm and 7.62mm rounds. Needless to say, they can handle M4 carbines and AK-47s, common sights on the battlefield. The active duty forces of the United States are all using these firearms. As for the ACOG optical sight, it represents cutting-edge technology. With a maximum magnification of 8x, a wide field of view, and illuminated reticle functionality, it remains fully operational in low-light conditions. The tactical radio, essentially a battlefield communication device, has a range varying from several kilometers to over 10 kilometers depending on the model and conditions. Its greatest strengths lie in its anti-jamming capabilities, secure communication functions, and support for multiple communication modes including voice and data transmission. In urban combat, which demands high levels of coordination and teamwork, effective coordination can multiply overall tactical efficiency by an immeasurable degree. These things, not just Sarl but even representatives like Iraq, Syria, and Libya were envious. Unfortunately, this was specifically prepared for Gaza. Otherwise, they'd definitely try to get some from Zhang Yi. Your Majesty, how much would these cost? Sar asked excitedly. No charge. Consider it my personal sponsorship. I expect you to repay me with the heads of Seleucid soldiers on the battlefield. These items are merely the most basic necessities. They're not particularly high-tech. Zhang Yi's armory could churn out large quantities with ease. It doesn't require much capital either. Compared to that negligible cost, what Zhang Yi truly wants to see is Hamas fighters striving to kill Swid. How unfortunate. Sar felt a bit embarrassed. It's nothing. I said I'd be repaid with the heads of the Syriac soldiers. Very well, we swear we won't disappoint you. Sar's eyes flashed crimson. As he spoke, he suddenly knelt before Zhang Yi, about to kowtow. Zhang Yi hurriedly stopped him. No need for that. I don't do that sort of thing. Sar knew Zhang Yi had Dragon Nation blood. And kneeling before the Dragon Nation was the highest form of respect. His eyes still red, he said, Forgive me, Your Majesty. I truly don't know how to repay you. You've given us so much equipment. You are the savior of all Hamas fighters. You've given us the chance and hope for revenge. The humiliation of being caged needn't be mentioned. This was the hatred long suppressed in the hearts of every Balestine person. What truly moved him was the scene from the day before, when his loved ones and close friends were blown to pieces. The bloody scenes. Still vivid in his mind. He knew that without Zhang Yi, they would be utterly powerless, unable to do anything. Zhang Yi said nothing, merely patting Sal's shoulder. Zhang Yi wouldn't doubt his words. Now, every Hamas fighter charged into battle with a chest filled with unbearable hatred. Zhang Yi could feel their resolve for vengeance. On the side of Yilang, the representative spoke up, Moving forward, we can also provide you with some weapons as needed. Yilang is the big brother of the resistance foxes. Though with the rise of Yemen, his status as the big brother has become somewhat nominal. Because whether it's Hamas, Syria, or Iraq, they all now implicitly recognize Yemen as the top leader. Yet Yilang's standing remains second only to Yemen's. After speaking, the Yilang representative turned to look at Zhang Yi. Your Majesty, to be perfectly honest, we also wish to import some equipment from your side. I wonder if there might be something suitable. Unlike other nations in Jiangdong, which have been thrown into disarray by the Lighthouse Nation and Yisili, Yilang possesses an independent government. It is a complete nation. It was a thorn in Yisili's side. He feared that if Yisili learned of this symposium, they might join forces with the Lighthouse Nation to target them as well. What aspects do you require? Land and air defense systems. We need both, especially air defense. We're not short on offensive weapons. They possess various rocket systems and have independent RD capabilities. Only air defense has always been their weak point. Well, we have that too. Zhang Yi considered it. The Reputation Store offers quite a few affordable defense weapons. Note: inexpensive here refers to what Zhang Yi and the Yamen Kingdom could afford. Because Yemen possessed the Stellar Shield, its trump card for air defense. For nations like Iran, however, the inexpensive air defense equipment Zhang Yi mentioned was anything but cheap. Instead, they were coveted treasures. Zhang Yi recalled a model he'd spotted while browsing air defense systems in a store earlier. I have an air defense missile with a range of 400 kilometers, a maximum intercept speed of Mach 6, a payload capacity of 32 rounds, and an integrated fire control system. Interested? The Ilan representative's eyes widened. He almost doubted his own ears. With that range, intercept speed, and payload capacity, it could handle multiple supersonic missiles simultaneously, right? The Kingdom of Yemen truly has no shortage of remarkable technology. I'll take it, this one. The Ilan representative said with delight. This would revolutionize Ilan's defense capabilities. Zhang Yi shifted gears abruptly, but this system comes with a hefty price tag. How much? 500 million US dollars. Chapter 131, Seminar turns into sales pitch. The Ilan representative fell silent. 500 million US dollars for the single set? This isn't just expensive, it's astronomically priced. Consider this. The Aegis system from the land of the free? Costs no more than $200 million per unit. It's one of the world's most powerful shipborne air defense systems, capable of detecting, tracking, and destroying aircraft and missiles, while also possessing the ability to engage enemy naval vessels. As for the selling price, it tops out at 300 or 400 million at most. Zhang Yi, however, is charging 500 million per set, and that's just for the equipment alone. If you later want technical guidance from Zhang Yi, wouldn't that start at $1 billion? Seeing the representative of Billion Wolf hesitating, Zhang Yi interjected, "Rest assured, our equipment will never disappoint you. It's a surefire profit." "That's not what I meant." He knew full well Zhang Yi's equipment wouldn't be subpar. Based on the performance specifications alone, he understood just how groundbreaking it was. He also believed the Kingdom of Yemen possessed such capabilities. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made Yisili and the Lighthouse Nation suffer so many losses. But Elang was never a big shot like Zhang Dong. He had to be more cautious with finances. He was simply too strapped for cash. If only he had more money, he wouldn't be so conflicted. Zhang Yi pledged, "Here's the deal. As long as you purchase my defense systems, any firepower losses or system failures within their monitoring range will be fully covered by me. No questions asked." Asking means you have absolute trust in the system's products. Because no country in the world can breach the defenses of air defense equipment purchased from the system. Not even the Lighthouse Nation. Really? Would I lie to you? Alright then, we'll take 4 sets. Elang's representative gritted his teeth, ready to shell out 20 billion for the purchase. Seeing the deal sealed, Zhang Yi mentally calculated the costs and profits. This equipment, it could be purchased directly with cash, not requiring reputation points. Each unit cost around 1.2 billion. Calculating this way, Zhang Yi could profit 3.8 billion per set. Per sets would yield roughly 1.5 billion US dollars. The profit margin reached 75%. Honestly, experiencing the thrill of being a shady businessman, it's undeniably exhilarating. Didn't lift a finger and netted 1.5 billion US dollars. No wonder. They say there's no such thing as a businessman without a bit of cunning. Who could resist the temptation of such massive profits? After that, both parties wasted no time. They signed the contract immediately. Representatives from Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon watched on enviously. This seminar. Hamas and Elang both reaped rewards, yet they came away empty-handed, a bitter pill to swallow. Your Majesty, is there any equipment more suitable for our country? The representative from Lebanon stared longingly at Zhang Yi. What exactly are you looking for? The representative from Lebanon paused, then asked, any powerful rocket-propelled grenades? Geographically speaking, Lebanon borders Yisili, with the two nations lying very close together. Over the past 2 years, conflicts have erupted repeatedly between the two sides. Lebanon has long been dissatisfied with Yisili's lawless actions in Zhangdong, its blatant violation of international law, and its occupation of Belstan's territory. Lebanon's leadership senses that a major war is inevitable. Their sole concern was their outdated weaponry. Meanwhile, Yisili possesses the renowned Iron Dome defense system. They feared that if war broke out with Israel, their current arsenal would pose little threat to Israel. Instead, Israel could easily bomb their territory. But if they possessed weapons of comparable caliber, they wouldn't worry. At worst, mutually assured destruction. They wouldn't believe the cowardly Yisili people would dare to destroy themselves along with them. Yes. Seeing the young fence representative, so bold and fearless, so determined and tenacious, Zhang Yi also admired their courage. Among the nations present, Lebanon ranked second only to Elang in strength. After all, Elang and Syria. Years of war. Their foundations had long been shattered. As for Gasha, it goes without saying, if not for Zhang Yi enabling them to make some progress, they'd still be caged birds with no freedom whatsoever. Zhang Yi temporarily exited the negotiation interface, opened the shop, and found something worthwhile inside. He then returned to the interaction interface. I have a model here that I'm sure will pique your interest. May I review the specifications and performance? Certainly. Zhang Yi introduced, this is our latest rocket-propelled grenade, the Superbreaker X1. It measures 35 meters in length, 0.35 meters in diameter, and has a launch weight of 500 kilograms, including propellant and warhead. It has a maximum range of 800 kilometers, utilizing a new high-energy propellant and an optimized aerodynamic design. Multiple warhead types are available, though the primary option currently is the composite armor-piercing warhead. The explosive yield of this rocket can be controlled between 1,000 and 30,000 tons of TNT. As for accuracy, rest assured we employ the latest technology known as the composite guidance system, achieving a circular error probability within just 5 meters. After hearing Zhang Yi's explanation, Li Nang's representative nearly popped his eyes out of his head. An 800 kilometers range? Forget Yixili, that's practically enough to cover the entire Zhangdong region. Max controllable yield, 30,000 tons of TNT. It possesses the capability to obliterate absolutely everything. And the accuracy is absurd, a 5-meter margin of error is practically negligible. Faced with rockets of this caliber, Yisili's Iron Dome would likely turn into an iron bug. When it comes, everyone will have to weigh their own worth. We're buying. The tender fence represents a powerful voice. No matter the price, he must buy this rocket launcher, even if it means selling the family silver. For once acquired, it becomes a national treasure rivaling the mushroom cloud. Alright. What's the price? Li Banning asked the most pressing question. One unit is priced at 100 million US dollars. If you order 10 or more, each additional unit is 80 million US dollars. The system itself costs 12 million USD, but its real-world performance makes it worth over 100 million in value. So 80 million is actually quite reasonable. Li Banning's representative exhaled in relief. Thank goodness. It's within acceptable limits. They'd definitely ask for more, but since it wasn't needed immediately, it could serve as strategic reserves. Gritting his teeth, the representative of Lebanon ultimately demanded 50 units. That's 40 billion US dollars. By the time the contract was signed, Zhang Yi felt a bit embarrassed. It was supposed to be a proper symposium. How did it turn into his own sales pitch? But there was no other way. Every party was so desperate for genuine, high-quality goods that if Zhang Yi hadn't sold them, they'd have been unhappy. They were practically begging him to sell. Everyone saw it. It's not like I'm trying to profit off this. They're the ones forcing me to profit. Another point worth mentioning, the system's products offer such high value for money that they can't be sold at excessively low prices. Otherwise, the entire global arms industry would face a price collapse. Chapter 132, starting with a small goal. So it's perfectly reasonable for Zhang Yi to sell it to them at several times the price. Zhang Yi couldn't very well let his own actions disrupt the global market just because of him? How would the arms trade ever function afterward? Now only Syria and Iraq remain, watching longingly. They want it too. But years of war have drained their coffers. They can't afford to pay top dollar for weapons like the billionaire wolf. They can barely protect themselves. Seeing this, Zhang Yi, out of humanitarian concern, he was prepared to offer them a small gift. Here's the deal, I still have some individual combat weapons surplus from earlier stockpiles. If you don't mind, I can give them to you for free. These weapons were used by the Wuxi forces before I took command. Some of them were captured after eliminating the original Yamen government forces, the troops led by Hadi. They're just sitting around anyway. Rather than letting them gather dust in storage or being destroyed, why not do a favor and give them to Iraq and Syria? This was a golden opportunity to win hearts and minds. Zhang Yi rescued them from dire straits. In the future, these two nations might even willingly become vassals to the Kingdom of Yemen. Just like Hamas in Gaza. Syria and Iraq, both in terms of population and war experience, far surpass Hamas. After all, they are nations. Gaza is merely a region. If possible, Zhang Yi intends to cultivate them into capable subordinates, his right-hand men. Of course. It all depends on their future performance. They better not turn out to be ungrateful dogs. Otherwise, Zhang Yi would certainly deal with them. Really? Thank you, Your Majesty. We are profoundly grateful, Your Majesty. Should you ever require anything, we Syrians will go through fire and water for you. Both men were deeply moved. In Zhang Yi's eyes, those were nothing but obsolete junk equipment. But to them, it was different. They were treasures. Rest assured, as long as you perform well, you'll be well rewarded. Zhang Yi declared generously. He slapped both teams on the shoulder. Upon hearing this, the representatives from each country looked determined. They exchanged glances, their minds even stirring with competitive thoughts. The representative of Elan felt conflicted. Once upon a time, the Yemen kingdom had been their subordinate, nurtured and supported by their own hands. Now, it seemed the tables had turned. He personally had no strong opinion on the matter, though he knew some within Elan's leadership might oppose it. But what could be done? In this world, might reigns supreme. This single delivery of empty missiles from the Yemen kingdom could protect vast swaths of Elan territory from threats by the Lighthouse Nation and Yisili. For that alone, he wouldn't hesitate to call Yemen Big Brother. Those who recognize the times are the true heroes. An ancient saying from the Dragon Kingdom. After the seminar concluded, Zhang Yi arranged for their departure from the country, whereupon their own representatives came to greet them. As for the orders secured during this trip, Zhang Yi promised delivery within a week. That speed was nothing short of lightning fast. In other countries, business deals worth billions or tens of billions often take months or even years to fulfill. This clearly demonstrates the current productive capacity of the Kingdom of Yemen. Globally speaking, it ranks among the very best. And that's without even considering the boost Zhang Yi receives from the system. With this in mind, Zhang Yi proceeded to perform a simple upgrade on all major factories. The armory was expanded to 3 facilities. Previously, weapons production was solely for domestic supply. Though export business began early, the export volume remained modest. The order just secured with Elang and his team ranked among the largest in the history of the Yemen kingdom. After completing these tasks, Zhang Yi received news. The newly discovered stone quarry, natural gas field, and gold mine sites were ready for formal extraction once equipment installation was complete. Oil and natural gas would be exported as usual. Gold, as previously planned, would be retained as strategic reserves. This news caused quite a stir internationally. Several nations expressed interest in purchasing gold at premium prices. They intended to use it for material research and development, or like Zhang Yi, as strategic reserves. However, Zhang Yi declined all offers. After all, the Kingdom of Yemen's current gold reserves were practically non-existent. This simply won't do. The treasury must be replenished. Only with capital can we establish a foundation to stand firm in the world. We cannot pursue short-term gains. Once all the gold mines are fully developed, the Kingdom of Yemen's gold reserves could rank around 12th or 13th globally. In a sense, this is also a crucial metric for evaluating a nation. That evening, after a day of gaming, Zhang Yi stretched lazily, feeling somewhat tired. He planned to take a hot shower before going to bed. Though it might seem like just playing on a phone, every step was critical because it was linked to reality, requiring careful consideration. So playing it was still quite exhausting. It was a real brain drainer. Fortunately, everything had gone smoothly, and the sense of accomplishment left Zhang Yi feeling quite satisfied. He ran the hot water. Suddenly, his phone vibrated. He picked it up to see it was Wang Deming calling. Academician Wang, what's the matter? I'm calling to share some good news. Wang Deming said cheerfully, the material you provided us last time has passed several rounds of testing and fully meets the standards. I applied to the higher-ups, and the country is now preparing to mass-produce this material for practical application. I believe the material you developed will soon bring tremendous benefits to our nation. Really? That's wonderful. Jiang Yi replied sincerely, Academician Wang, it's an honor for me to contribute to the nation. Ha! Wang Deming chuckled. Well then, is there anything you need right now? Just ask, and I'll arrange it immediately. He still believed. Last time Jiang Yi declined everything because he hadn't thought it through. Now that time has passed, he should have decided what he wants. Jiang Yi's contribution to the nation. And such a tremendous one at that. He couldn't possibly shortchange Jiang Yi. Trusting the nation, he was also quite willing to reward Jiang Yi in some way. This is commendable work worthy of encouragement. How about applying for some more R&D funding? Jiang Yi thought for a moment asking for something for himself would be far more reasonable. Otherwise, Academician Wang would keep dwelling on this matter. Certainly, no problem. Wang Deming agreed immediately. R&D requires funding that's perfectly normal. Would 100 million be enough to start with? Put. Jiang Yi nearly choked on his drink. Wow, starting with a modest goal, huh? Alright. Research and development really does require money. 100 million is an astronomical figure for the average person. But for an R&D team? It'd be gone in a flash. That's too much. We don't need that much. Here's what we'll do. Wang Deming thought for a moment. I'll give you a shared account with 100 million yuan. Take whatever you need. And this money doesn't have to be used solely for R&D. You can also withdraw from it for your daily living expenses or anything else you want. How does that sound? Chapter 133, Satellite Development. He had considered it. If this money were given directly to Jiang Yi personally, it would be too much, he might feel awkward accepting it. But if he were given an account, allowing him to withdraw as needed, that would be perfectly acceptable and much easier to handle. The funds weren't restricted to any specific purpose for Jiang Yi, be it research and development, or personal enjoyment. It's all a reward for Jiang Yi anyway, he can use it however he likes. After all, Jiang Yi donated this material technology to the nation without compensation. If Jiang Yi were to apply for a patent, the potential future earnings would far exceed 100 million. So while 100 million sounds like a lot, Wang Deming even felt it was somewhat shortchanging Jiang Yi. Alright. The other party's generosity was hard to refuse. Jiang Yi couldn't keep refusing. Soon after, Wang Deming sent over an account number. This wasn't just any ordinary bank account. It was one with ultra-high privileges. It allowed direct online withdrawals to internet banking accounts and unlimited offline cash withdrawals. Additionally, it came with an overdraft facility, meaning that even if the card had no funds, Jiang Yi could still continue to use it on credit. As for the exact overdraft limit, Jiang Yi wasn't entirely sure. But it's definitely not comparable to a regular credit card. Alright, I have an important meeting to attend. If you have any other R&D projects or achievements, feel free to notify me. Academician Wang, please take care of yourself. He hung up the phone. Jiang Yi logged into his online banking, staring at the over 100 million in his account. His heart was filled with mixed emotions. This is real money, no doubt about it. As the saying goes, the glittering world dazzles the eyes. Who knows how many people spend their entire lives chasing this money, only to never fulfill their dreams. Forget it, just enjoy the moment. It's all mine to enjoy. Jiang Yi cast these thoughts aside, his mind already turning to the next technical contribution he could make. He had promised Academician Wang that he'd notify him immediately upon any new breakthroughs. It's been so long. He couldn't just stay silent. Jiang Yi didn't want to abandon his genius persona, he had to keep it up. Early the next morning, after breakfast and his morning run, Jiang Yi left campus and headed to the largest shopping mall nearby, intending to treat himself to a few new outfits. He couldn't just sit on his money. When it's time to enjoy. With ample funds, he skipped the budget section altogether and headed straight for the luxury wing. Jiang Yi bought himself several designer suits, a few casual outfits, and some pajamas. Everything went smoothly. None of those novel tropes where shop assistants look down on you only to get humiliated played out. Jiang Yi had actually been looking forward to it. Instead, they were courteous, polite, and genuinely enthusiastic. Come to think of it, those working in such high-end establishments were professionally trained. How could they possibly look down on customers? Jiang Yi couldn't help but mentally curse the novel's author. Unfair. Deceiving me. But one thing was true. After a shopping spree, he spent over 100,000 yuan. After all, these were all luxury brands. Seeing Jiang Yi pay without a hint of regret, the pretty cashier's gaze lingered on him so long it almost formed a trail. It was clear that if Jiang Yi had lingered a second longer, he would have asked for her contact information. Stepping out of the mall, Jiang Yi was carrying a huge pile of bags. Thankfully, he had the gene-enhancing serum, otherwise, an ordinary person wouldn't have been able to carry this much. Jiang Yi? Just as he was about to hail a cab back to campus to drop off the items at his apartment, a voice caught Jiang Yi's attention. He turned his head. Lu Yanan, a dance major from the neighboring department. They knew each other because they'd shared meals a few times before. Lu Yanan was exceptionally beautiful, a classic oval face, snow-white skin, and exquisitely defined features. Most importantly, her figure was absolutely stunning. Especially those long, slender legs. Countless people had fallen for them. After all, she was a trained dancer. Rumor has it she had countless admirers at school. What a coincidence.